The city streets were shrouded in a thick veil of mist, the dim streetlights casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance with secrets. Jennifer stood on the desolate corner, hugging herself against the chill as she waited for a taxi. She had stayed late at the office, and now her only thought was getting home as quickly as possible. Finally, the glow of approaching headlights pierced through the mist, and a taxi pulled up to the curb. The driver's window rolled down, revealing a middle-aged man with a thin smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Jennifer hesitated, a shiver coursing through her as she stepped closer to the taxi. "Need a ride, miss?" the driver asked, his voice smooth but oddly detached. Jennifer hesitated, her instincts on high alert. But she needed to get home, and the misty darkness seemed to close in around her. "Yes, I do." She climbed into the back seat, her unease growing as she settled in. The interior of the taxi was dimly lit, the air heavy with an unsettling stillness. The driver's eyes lingered on her a moment too long in the rearview mirror before he shifted his gaze to the road. "Where to?" he asked, his tone almost monotone. Jennifer hesitated before giving her address. She glanced out the window, the mist swirling around the streetlights in a hypnotic dance. The city had never felt so unfamiliar, so foreboding. She clenched her purse in her lap, a growing sense of unease settling deep within her. As they drove, Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She stole glances at the driver, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. But there was something off about his demeanor, a tension, a quiet intensity that sent shivers down her spine. "Do you drive this route often?" Jennifer asked, trying to break the silence that seemed to stretch on forever. The driver's lips twitched into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I've been driving these streets for years." Jennifer's stomach churned, her unease deepening. She felt like a trapped animal, her heart pounding in her chest as the taxi wove through the misty maze of streets. Her fingers drummed anxiously against her purse as her mind raced with thoughts of escape. As they approached a desolate stretch of road, Jennifer's heart skipped a beat. The taxi began to slow down, its tires crunching on gravel as the driver pulled over to the side. Panic surged through Jennifer, her breath quickening. "Why are we stopping?" she asked, her voice shaky. The driver turned towards her, his smile sending a chill down her spine. "Just a minor engine problem, miss. I'll have to take a look." Jennifer's instincts screamed at her to flee, to unlock the door and run. But fear rooted her to her seat as the driver climbed out of the taxi and disappeared into the mist. Minutes turned into an eternity as Jennifer's heart raced. She glanced out the window, her gaze darting between the fog-shrouded road and the driver who seemed to be taking his time. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant sounds of her own heartbeat. Finally, the driver returned to the taxi, his face an impassive mask. He climbed back into the driver's seat and turned towards Jennifer. "We're all set. Let's continue." Jennifer's heart pounded as the taxi lurched forward, its tires crunching on gravel as it merged back onto the road. She tried to steady her breathing, to convince herself that everything was fine. But a gnawing feeling of dread settled over her like a shroud. As they drove, Jennifer noticed that they were no longer heading towards her apartment. Her heart raced as she realized that the driver had taken a different route. Panic surged through her veins, and she knew she had to do something, to take control of the situation. "Hey, where are we going?" Jennifer asked, her voice trembling. The driver's lips twitched into a smile as he turned towards her. "A change of plans, miss. I thought we'd take a little detour." Jennifer's fear turned to anger, her survival instincts kicking into overdrive. She reached for her phone, her fingers trembling as she dialed 911. But as she held the phone to her ear, she realized there was no signal. A cold sweat broke out on Jennifer's brow as the reality of her situation sunk in. She was alone in a taxi with a driver who was clearly not what he seemed. She needed to think, to come up with a plan to escape. "We're not going the right way," Jennifer said, her voice steadier now. "I need to get out." The driver's smile widened, a predatory glint in his eyes. "Don't worry, miss. I know exactly where we're going." Jennifer's heart raced, her mind racing as she assessed her options. She needed to find a way out, to get back to the familiar streets, to safety. As they approached a stoplight, Jennifer seized her chance. She unbuckled her seatbelt and flung open the door, her heart pounding as she jumped out of the moving taxi. She hit the pavement with a jolt, pain shooting through her limbs, but she didn't stop. Ignoring the ache in her body, Jennifer scrambled to her feet and sprinted towards the nearby sidewalk. The mist seemed to close in around her, the city's labyrinthine streets twisting and turning in disorienting ways. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she ran, her pulse racing to the rhythm of her pounding footsteps. Behind her, the taxi's engine roared to life, its headlights piercing the mist as it gave chase. Jennifer's heart raced, her mind racing as she sprinted through the darkness. She had to find help, to escape the clutches of the sinister taxi driver. As she turned a corner, Jennifer's heart leapt at the sight of a gas station up ahead. She pushed herself harder, her legs burning as she raced towards the welcoming glow of the station's lights. She burst through the entrance, her chest heaving, and caught the attention of the attendant behind the counter. "Please call the police," Jennifer gasped, her voice frantic. The attendant's eyes widened as he took in her disheveled appearance. He grabbed the phone and dialed 911, his expression turning serious as he listened to Jennifer's harrowing story. Minutes later, the sound of sirens echoed through the misty night. Jennifer watched through the gas station's windows as the police arrived, surrounding the taxi and apprehending the driver. Relief flooded over her as she realized she was safe, that her nightmare had come to an end. As the police took her statement, Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling of dread that had settled over her. The memory of the creepy taxi driver's smile and the unsettling atmosphere of that night would forever haunt her. But she had survived, had escaped the clutches of danger with her life and her instincts intact. In the weeks that followed, Jennifer's unease gradually faded. She learned that the taxi driver had a history of suspicious behavior, that she hadn't been his only target. Her story became a cautionary tale, a reminder that danger could come in the most mundane of forms. As Jennifer moved forward, the city's misty streets no longer held the same terror for her. She had faced the darkness head-on and emerged stronger, her instincts sharper, and her determination unwavering. The memory of that night would always be with her, a chilling reminder that evil could be lurking just beneath the surface of the ordinary. As she moved forward, the city's misty streets no longer held the same terror for her. She had faced the darkness head-on and emerged stronger, her instincts sharper, and her determination unwavering. The memory of that night would always be with her, a chilling reminder that evil could be lurking just beneath the surface of the ordinary. Jennifer's experience led her to become an advocate for safety awareness, especially for those who relied on transportation services like taxis. She worked with local organizations to spread awareness about the importance of being cautious and vigilant when traveling alone. Her story became a cautionary tale shared across the community, a stark reminder that even the most routine activities could turn into life-threatening situations. Over time, Jennifer's strength and resilience inspired others to share their own stories of close calls and unsettling encounters. Together, they worked to create a safer environment for everyone, pushing for better regulations and safety measures within the transportation industry. Jennifer's harrowing experience had ignited a fire within her, and she was determined to make a positive impact, turning her trauma into a force for change. The misty city streets that had once seemed ominous now held a different kind of aura. They were a testament to Jennifer's courage, a symbol of her ability to overcome fear and turn it into action. As she continued her journey, she knew that the shadows might still hold secrets, but they no longer had the power to paralyze her. And so, with every step she took, Jennifer carried the weight of her past, transformed into a beacon of resilience and hope. Her story served as a reminder that even in the darkest of moments, the human spirit could shine through, dispelling the mist of fear and uncertainty, and replacing it with the light of empowerment and change. And so, with every step she took, Jennifer carried the weight of her past, transformed into a beacon of resilience and hope. Her story served as a reminder that even in the darkest of moments, the human spirit could shine through, dispelling the mist of fear and uncertainty, and replacing it with the light of empowerment and change. As time went on, Jennifer's efforts yielded tangible results. Local authorities and transportation companies took notice of the advocacy work she and others were doing, leading to increased safety measures and better training for drivers. The community became more vigilant, looking out for one another and reporting any suspicious behavior promptly. Jennifer's own life also underwent a transformation. The trauma that once haunted her dreams gradually lost its grip as she channeled her energy into her advocacy work. She found solace in helping others, in knowing that her experience had a purpose beyond the fear it had initially instilled. She became a speaker at safety workshops and events, sharing her story with a growing audience. People were captivated by her harrowing encounter with the creepy taxi driver, and they marveled at her courage and determination to make a difference. But while Jennifer was making strides in the realm of safety awareness, her own healing process was ongoing. The memory of that night still had the power to send shivers down her spine, and she knew that overcoming her own fears was a journey that took time. One day, as she was addressing a group of students about personal safety, Jennifer was approached by a young woman with a determined look in her eyes. She introduced herself as Mia and shared her own experience of narrowly escaping a dangerous situation. Mia explained how hearing Jennifer's story had empowered her to take self-defense classes and advocate for safety measures within her own community. Jennifer was moved by Mia's words, realizing that her story had a ripple effect, inspiring others to take action and protect themselves. As she continued to interact with survivors and advocates like Mia, Jennifer's healing journey took a significant step forward. She found a sense of camaraderie and purpose that helped her reclaim her sense of safety and control. In time, the misty city streets lost their haunting quality. Jennifer still held memories of that chilling night, but they no longer paralyzed her. Instead, they served as a reminder of her own strength and the collective power to effect change. With each passing day, Jennifer's advocacy work continued to make a difference. The taxi driver's sinister behavior had inadvertently set her on a path to become a source of empowerment for countless others. And as she looked out at the mist-shrouded city, Jennifer knew that while danger might still exist, she was living proof that the human spirit could rise above it, shining brightly as a beacon of resilience in the darkest of times. With each passing day, Jennifer's advocacy work continued to make a difference. The taxi driver's sinister behavior had inadvertently set her on a path to become a source of empowerment for countless others. And as she looked out at the mist-shrouded city, Jennifer knew that while danger might still exist, she was living proof that the human spirit could rise above it, shining brightly as a beacon of resilience in the darkest of times. Years went by, and Jennifer's efforts had a lasting impact on the community. Safety measures within the transportation industry were improved, and people were more vigilant and aware of their surroundings. Her story had become a cornerstone of safety workshops, reaching people of all ages and backgrounds, arming them with the knowledge and tools to protect themselves. One day, while giving a talk at a local school, Jennifer noticed a familiar face in the audience. It was Mia, the young woman who had approached her all those years ago. After the talk, Mia approached Jennifer with a warm smile. "I wanted to thank you again," Mia said. "Your story changed my life, and I'm now working with a non-profit organization focused on women's safety." Jennifer's heart swelled with pride as she listened to Mia's words. It was a reminder that every action, no matter how small, could have a profound impact on others. As they chatted, Jennifer shared how her advocacy work had helped her in her own healing process, turning a traumatic memory into a catalyst for positive change. Mia nodded, her eyes filled with understanding. It's incredible how turning pain into purpose can be so empowering. In the years that followed, Jennifer and Maya collaborated on various projects, combining their experiences and insights to create a stronger impact. Together, they organized safety awareness campaigns, self-defense workshops, and community events that brought people together to share their stories and learn from one another. Through their efforts, they created a network of support and empowerment, turning the shadows of their pasts into a guiding light for others. Jennifer's healing journey continued as she saw the tangible results of her work reflected in the lives she touched. One misty evening, as Jennifer walked the same city streets where her nightmare had unfolded, she felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in years. The mist no longer held the same haunting power over her. Instead, it seemed to carry with it the echoes of her own strength and resilience. As she looked out at the mist-shrouded city, Jennifer knew that while the memory of that creepy taxi driver would always be a part of her, it was no longer a source of fear. It was a reminder of how far she had come, of the journey she had taken from victim to survivor, and from survivor to advocate. In the distance, a taxi rolled to a stop at the curb, its headlights cutting through the mist. Jennifer watched as the driver opened the door for a passenger, their exchange cordial and routine. She smiled to herself, realizing that the city's streets, once tainted by fear, had been transformed into a canvas of resilience and hope. As the mist began to lift, revealing the glow of streetlights and the shapes of familiar buildings, Jennifer continued on her path, knowing that her story was far from over. With each step, she carried the lessons of her past and the determination to create a better, safer world for herself and others. And as the mist dissolved into the night, Jennifer's spirit remained unbroken, shining brightly in the face of adversity, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit